Okay, guys, so time to start our webinar about forensics and prevention in the new reality. I'm so much looking forward to it. I hope you too. And my name is, as you see, Paula J on the slide, and I'm the 2 days host. And basically, the webinar is called Forensics and Prevention in the New Reality. And well, simply speaking, the webinar is live and it's going to be very intense. And we will have a live hacking challenge for you. And absolutely, I'm going to explain how this will work soon. So stay until the end because we've got a really nice prize as always on our webinars. And let's do a bit of a housekeeping. Please introduce yourself and to other geeks that are on the chat, say where you're calling from and what brings you here. And we've got a comment section on the site, so this is the place to do it. So let me see who is out there in our webinar to see on the chat, basically. Yeah, Romania, hello from Greece, nice Poland, yoo-hoo, nice Porto, Cape Town, oh, that's so cool, Nigeria, seriously, and we've got US, Washington, DC, Australia, that's so awesome, Canada, Iceland, actually it's pretty cool because I'm actually just back from Iceland, um, Lithuania, UK, Kazakhstan, nice place, I visited this one too, and Belgium, Switzerland, oh gosh, that's a lot. That's really cool. Okay, fantastic. So it's really nice to see you guys, and it's a really nice list of countries that we are from. So clearly, it shows that cybersecurity has no borders. But anyway, let's move forward. Yeah. So couple of things basically about our team very briefly so that you've got the background. Why actually am I speaking about forensics? So what does CQURE do? And eventually a bit of an intro. We are quite, I think, good people to work at in cybersecurity subjects because eventually we are not really a training company. We do technically spend approximately 70% of our time working as consultants on different client cases around the world, also virtually. And well, right now we can see that situation is a bit different, but we still try our best. And we split the rest of our time on the training and the research. And also we're going to do a bunch of research things today on the webinar. One of the things that I think it's worth sharing at the same time is that even though we've got a lot of research still to do, I've got access to the source code of Windows, and technically I'm the CEO of CQURE. It's a team that basically I have established 12 years ago. Imagine that, how time flies. And eventually, my experience is purely related with the pen testing and also forensics. And that's pretty much what our team does. But we've got also a couple of other aspects, like, for example, we work on different exploits and we develop different tools that we got. So yeah, that's the background. Yes, but eventually, all of these activities, they allow us to stay up to date with security knowledge, skills and tools, and technically, most of the trainings we deliver are offline. But they are also organized online like this one, and they are organized by ourselves or our partners. So there are plenty of options to see us. As I mentioned, we are for 12 years in the market. However, like our online education has started in 2016 for real, so 4 years ago. Offline training goes for so many years, and that was the moment where we have ignited different opportunities for online education for all the geeks out there who technically want to learn from us. And yeah, let me show you some faces here. This is our team. So as you can see on the slide, and team of experts, supporters, and in the middle you can find logos of institutions where we share our experiences. And for example, I think maybe I should mention that I was or within our team, but I was also as well speaking at the Black Hat I was actually rated #1 speaker there in Asia, and also delivered a keynote at RSA in San Fran. So maybe we've seen each other there. If so, then absolutely pleasure to see you back, because there's always something new to mention in cybersecurity. And yeah, just like one hint, if you want to be a part of our team, you need to be a raccoon lover. So that's like a rule #1, because we totally are fans of a raccoon animal, and this mascot is like all over the place. I'm in the office right now, and it's like there's a picture of raccoon on the floor. There is a raccoon, so plenty of those. Anyway, so housekeeping, of course, to ensure a good quality of your experience. There's a couple of things, guys, you need to know to keep it smooth. If you have problems with viewing this webinar, try refreshing the page first or try another browser engine. In general, that usually helps, but if the problem persists, please let us know in the comments section or via info@cqureacademy.com. You've got an email on the slide. We are actually monitoring this email right now, so if there is any problem, let us know. And eventually, if you wondered what you should expect within the training session, there's a couple of things we should know. One of those things basically is that we're gonna play with forensics, and also what we will play with is simply the toolkit. So you're gonna actually have access to the tools at the end of the session. And this is the setup, and of course live demonstrations. I'll show you how to perform evidence collection very quickly, but mainly how to actually extract the information that is useful while we are doing forensics. We're gonna play with memory, and eventually we're gonna have questions and answers at the end with the really cool prize, because we will need to solve the challenge at the end that is clearly related with this forensics webinar. So as always, very interactive. If you have any questions as well, paste them in the chat section. As I mentioned, we will do our best to also handle them during this webinar. But what will be useful for us is that if, for example, time allows to answer all of them, awesome, we're going to do it. But if it doesn't, then we will also post the answers in our blog, which is very simple, CQUREacademy.com/blog. And then we have it. So this is basically the plan for today. Now, a couple of things to give you from the statistics perspective before we actually get into forensics. And this is really something that I like to talk about, because even though my background is purely technical, and that's basically what I've been always doing, sometimes it's nice to get a market perspective, and that's also my job within the team. So technically, if you guys attended previous webinars, we used to quote often like this impressive forecast that was actually published by Financial Times some time ago, and they were saying that by 2019 there will be in the market 6 million cybersecurity professionals needed, but only 4 to 5 million of them will have like needed qualifications. And that was quite a terrifying statistic, because eventually we could see that happening at the customer side. There was very often a situation where our customers actually wanted to hire someone in cybersecurity, but the problem was that there was not appropriate amount of us in the market. Well, right now we've got 2020 and the world gets a little shake. We can see that, as we all know, and like all the new forecasts are a little bit more interesting right now, and especially like for those who are like growing yourself in the field, and this is a perfect time to do it right now. So on the slide, you can see that we've got malicious registrations, which we interpret as attacks, and that includes malware and phishing. They grew by 569% from February to March 2020. Isn't that crazy? And at the same time, we've got like new samples of ransomware, and that rose by 72%. It looks like we are indeed educating ourselves when we are sitting at home. But this is basically what happened in the first half of 2020. Now, at the same time, our customers or companies eventually, they are still struggling with finding a cybersecurity talent. Especially that is a really nice statistic when we think about forensics, showing that forensics and in general incident handling, it's a very important subject. And also when we look at some other stats, so according kind of like to this growth rate in US, we'll have a shortage of 500,000 cybersecurity talents by 2021. So that is also a really good time to become a true professional in this field. So yeah, I hope that I will manage also to help you get there. And if you wonder why forensics is such a hot topic, well, basically because it's out there all the time. Attacks happen, and when they happen, we need to have appropriate nerves and action plan in order to execute the incident response plan and later on collect the evidence properly, and at the same time be able to get some conclusions, lessons from the field to implement the improvements. And that's why forensics is such a hot subject. Now, interesting part about that is that forensics itself is actually quite a difficult subject because there are so many places we can go to, and eventually there are so many places where we can find the evidence, and it's also so easy to destroy the evidence. Now, interesting story for the very beginning of the webinar, because we are actually getting into the techie section finally, that's my favorite part, is that like we are doing different forensics projects, and one of my favorites from the I would say the interesting perspective is that we've been doing the forensics for one of the banks, and that's technically on one of the continents. So let me actually keep it a bit secret out there to not to reveal too much data. And that is a quite large bank, I would say. Some of you might know, obviously, because you were from across the world. And eventually, what was the case? They came to us in, let's say, October. That was actually happening in 2018. And they said that they've got most possibly some malware, and they lost because of that, because they had some like moments where their server just simply stopped working. So they had a loss of almost $2 million. They have kind of like evaluated this way, and then they say that obviously they need our help. And my question was like, okay, guys, so immediately I'm gonna like jumped on a call, just tell us what you need, explain us everything. When do you need a call? Do you need it like right now, or do you need it like tomorrow, or when? And they were like, no, tomorrow is fine. And that was actually quite suspicious, because when you've got an emergency, you don't say tomorrow, you say now, right? But anyway, okay, so we had a call tomorrow. And we asked, okay, guys, how can we help you? And they said that we've been attacked. Okay, so like, what are the symptoms? What do you see? And they were like, well, we've been attacked in June. So that's actually a couple of months from the moment they like came to us, and they are saying it's an emergency. Well, not really. Okay, so we were like, could you like share with us some kind of an investigation report and so on? And before I literally finished asking the question, I got an email with an unencrypted version of the report showing some kind of investigation, showing that there are some malicious files that we managed to find on the server. And the status at the end was saying that, well, it's there, but the files eventually, they were not removed. So I'm asking, did you guys remove the files? And they were like, no, we just left it as it was. So that's crazy, right? So we decided to obviously help them, and we agreed on this. And interesting part was that we said, okay, guys, so in order to have it quick, yeah, let's do it remotely and so on. But they said, well, then, but for this, we will need to have a like monitoring software. So we said, okay, so just set it up. And they were like, well, yeah, but we don't have it. So we need to make a choice in order to monitor you what you're going to do. That was like too much hassle, actually. So eventually it's December 2018. So they decided on monitoring software. So we tried to connect. That didn't work. And that was a matter of some kind of privileges connected with permissions to resources and so on. And eventually, without really asking for it, I'm at the customer site, traveling somewhere. I'm getting on my mobile phone an email, and I'm checking on, and there is a literally clear text domain username and domain admin username and password. So this is like, horrible. This is probably the worst story we could hear. And don't get me wrong, I'm not laughing at it. I'm just giving you an example that sometimes the procedure can be executed in a wrong way, or it's just not executed at all. And at the end, we started to do the research, and even though the time passed, there was always something, and there's always something you can find. Sometimes that might not really lead us to conclusion about the whole picture about what happened, but eventually that's something that could help us to investigate at least at a certain scope, so that we can implement correct actions and then move forward with our fixing plan. Now, interesting fact also to share with you is that according to the former FBI director James Comey, then organizations basically, until they find that the hack actually happened, they need approximately 200 days. That's crazy. And taking that particular company as an example, that's very realistic, right? But at the same time, we need approximately, on average, 80 days for fix. And that is also quite a interesting challenge, isn't it? Okay, so let's get into the subject. In general, when we look at forensics, we need to look at two resources. One, it's memory. So technically, whatever runs, it's in the memory, and that's like a saint statement over there. Do we always need a memory dump? You may ask. Well, sometimes we don't have a choice, and sometimes we might not even get it. Is this a big loss? Well, it is actually, because some of the things could work only in a memory, and over there we will be able to find maybe some kind of a shellcode injected into some of the processes that are operating system processes. So it could be SVC host, for example, or RunDLL, or any other ones that are at the first sight just not suspicious, that they look good. Now, whenever we think about memory, of course, and when we collect the evidence, we need to remember that memory has to be collected first. Yes, because if we start to collect the disk dump first and then memory dump, obviously by performing that activity, we may break or in general destroy the evidence that could potentially be stored in the memory. So memory dump first, then disk second. Of course, I will show you lots of technical demonstrations, but just to mention that when we are performing the memory dump, then there are not that many tools that we could use for that. Yes, so for example, one of the famous ones is the FTK Imager from Axis Data, and that is a tool that is free, officially used by many organizations. That's also Dumpit by Matthew Sish, and there are also a couple of other ones that you guys might be using. These are actually two of my favorites, so here we go. Now, whenever we look at the memory and in general the way of how we are able to extract some information from the dump that we already make. So we need to save the dump on the external media. We've got a possibility to analyze the memory in order to not only list about what's going on, but also stuff that basically we can extract. So different files, maybe to perform the mini dumps of certain processes that are from the memory dump. We can find over there the list of handles, very, very useful, taking into consideration the fact that, for example, we might have, like I will actually show you this example, but we might have a certain process running, and that process is loading some files, and these files are processed. See, working, and whatever works, it's in the memory. That means that eventually we will be able to find that processed part of the file in the memory. So that could actually include some kind of an evidence. Now, interesting part about that is related with technically the way of how we are extracting information from the memory. And I would like to show you some demonstration about, first of all, how to do it. So assuming that we have already made memory dump in a way I've mentioned, time to extract something, some files, and verify at the end if, for example, they are integral. That is one of the biggest challenges, because we might collect information about a memory dump, about what is happening inside, but if we extract files, it might appear that they are actually not working for us, and that is something that I would like to focus on. So long story short, I've got over here Python. Yes, so I'm using, in this case, Windows environment. You would also do it in Linux. It doesn't really matter. Yep. So why? Because I'm going to use over here the volatility. So that is the memory analysis tool, but we're going to use this in a quite a twisted way, since let's keep it interesting, not just like extracting information about the processes from the memory. We're going to start with this, but eventually we're going to end up with extracting files. So we're going to do volatility minus py, and then basically we're going to get into, in this case, a file, and then we're going to specify the file that I've got over here in tools, and I got dumps. Here we go, and I got some hacked PC, for example, and we're going to specify profile. So basically, depends on what kind of operating system that was. We will need to specify what that was about. Mine was this, but again, it could be Windows 10, anything in this case. And then eventually we can do PS list just to warm us up a little bit to list the list of processes that are in the operating system. What's so cool about that, and what I really love about memory analysis, which we could literally spend not hours, not days, but literally even weeks on a single dump, is that we need to know Windows internals in order to figure out what's going on inside. For example, with this example, we've got PS list, and PS list in general gives us a possibility to extract processes from the operating system. So like you see, basically. And in here, we've got some kind of a list of what's going on, right? So this is basically what has been running out there. Yeah. Now, interesting fact about that is that we've got also the possibility to use PS scan, which also scans for processes. But this takes a little bit longer. Now, what's the difference? Basically, in operating system, there is we've got processes, and there is a structure that describes these processes, and that particular structure, it's called simply e-process. And within the e-process structure, we are able at that point to find another structure called list entry, which contains something that we call active process links. Now that might sound a little bit difficult for the moment, but think about that. You can list processes in the operating system that are coming from a certain list. And that's it. That's like a quick moment to do. Or you just ask the list, give me the list of processes, and then you get it. So that's active process links list. Or you can list processes from handles that client server runtime subsystem has to all of the processes. So client server runtime subsystem, simply it's actually the guy that manages processes in the operating system. So who, if not this guy, is supposed to know where the processes are? So can you cheat on the list? Yes. Can you cheat on handles for clients who run the system? That's like a longer story, but in general, that's not the case. Yeah. So in process, in order to be managed, we have to have a handle for to it. And that is basically a reliable way of listing. So long story short, what I would like to show you, so this is how we do it, but what I would like to show you is the example of an interesting dump, which we're going to work on. So that's analyze DMP, taken from one of the interesting moments where, in order to show you that way of hiding basically the process. And we're going to list the profile, and then eventually we're going to give it a profile again, and then PS list to list processes to basically get into the difference. So I would like to show you the difference. Now, all of our tools that we use that are out there, let me see what we got. PS list. Okay, so yeah, here we go. All of our tools that we got, so things like Process Hacker, Process Explorer, they work like PS list. Is this good news? Well, you know, they work fast. That's why it's a good news. But are they reliable from the process listing? Not really, because you can cheat on a process. Of course, the situation when it happens, it's well, we have to be a target of that, yes, but in general, this is to show you that it's possible, and in memory you can find it. So please have a look. In this memory dump, we just see that list of processes. Yeah, something. We just see something. Of course, we are not looking for anything right now specific, but we're going to look for the difference because we're going to do PS scan. Yeah, like this. And if we do PS scan, you're going to see that we've got a possibility also to scan the processes in the same way. So that's basically the setup, but with a little bit of a difference. Have a look. Malware.exe. So technically, we couldn't see it before. Have a look. It's not there. So what happened with that process? Well, that process actually is hidden. And someone cheated on the list that is used to actually that is used to list processes in the operating system. So this is a little bit of a warm-up, if you don't mind. Now let's get into some concrete details. And that's my favorite part. So here we go. We're going to use the same dump, if you don't mind. But this time, instead of pscan and pslist, we're going to use DLL list. And this is in order to eventually, let's just stream it to DLL.txt. This is in order to list DLLs that are for all of the processes loaded in the operating system. Why am I doing this? First, let me do it because it takes a bit of time, and then let me explain. What I would like to do, I would like to, in this operating system, to extract EVTX files that are processed currently within the memory of the operating system. Why do we need this? Well, actually, this is a technique that I'm going to show you that we found very, very useful for one of our projects when we were doing the live forensics in the company where technically an administrator was sabotaging company from the inside. We had to come on site immediately, and our job was to figure out what is this guy doing. So we had to capture the moment where logs were out there in the memory, and technically this moment in between the logs were actually deleted. So that was fun, right? Eventually, what was also a big challenge is that EVTX files are very safe if it's about their architecture, the way how they are constructed, because they are actually divided into like chunks, and these chunks are digitally signed, and chunks of chunks are digitally signed, and groups of chunks are digitally signed. So technically, if you change like one little thing in the file, then the file becomes corrupted. Yeah, we don't want that, obviously. And we wrote a tool to fix EVTX files. So I'm sure you guys kind of find it useful because many people actually found it useful because EVTX, they got corrupted. And whether you do it from the memory dump or just like that, you've got an EVTX that's corrupted just like this, then this is actually quite a useful technique. So let's give it a try. Now, what do I find in DLL.txt? Well, I find over here list of processes with loaded DLLs, but the funky part about that is that in here you can see that we've got like a lot. Now, Windows Event Log Service, it is actually the service that is running through SVC host. Yeah, but when you look at this, which SVC host actually out of the whole list here is responsible for Windows Event Log Service? And answer is the one that loads DLL. Now, why do I need to find it? To get files that that particular SVC host.exe has handles to. That's pretty like step into a step, right? So let's give it a try to find, first of all, WEVT DLL, and that's not API, but that's SVC. So it's a WEVT SVC DLL, so that's this one. And this one is loaded by SVC host, selecting in blue, that actually has process ID 848. So fantastic, we found it. So we're going to copy this guy. So I can minimize this, and let's do the real job right now. So we've got the dump, and then we're going to do dump files, right? And we're going to do minus n, so to preserve the names of the files in the memory, minus p, and we're going to give it a process ID 848. And then we're going to do minus d, and actually I do have here file handles directory that I can extract these files to. Now, what is interesting over here is that let's give it a little bit of a background. Well, basically, SVC host itself that we found is actually the one that is used, loaded by by services because it's a service. But eventually, if we get into Process Hacker, for example, what I would like to show you is the situation where we've got the SVC host.exe loading these files. Let me show you the background so that we understand clearly of what's going on. So have a look. We've got over here services, and let's go to the very, very bottom, yeah, where we've got Windows Event Log Service. So you can see it's here, yeah, Windows Event Log. And eventually, what is cool is that within this one, so let's see. We can get into the SVC host and we can see that's a 1956. So go to process 1956. That's this guy. Now properties, and then have a look. If we go to handles, that's exactly what we need to extract. Here we've got EVTX files. Yeah, so that is basically what we need to get. That's this. Lovely. So having this in mind, we are extracting them here. So file handles. Okay, enter. So long story short, from the memory dump, we get files out. But the problem with those is that these guys won't be integral. And I'm going to prove it to you in a second. And we're going to simply fix them. So it is actually maybe a bit of a long scenario, but at the same time, you will see how to fix files that eventually are super hard to fix. And it actually took us like approximately 6 months of a research to move forward with this part. Okay, great. So we have it. Yeah, so this is this one, and we're extracting the files. So one by one. That now it's gonna actually get into the files. Great. So we got it. And the next stage, it's going to be to get into the setup, yeah, where we're going to be making these files integral. So that always, by the way, takes a bit of a time. So you need to stay super patient always when you are analyzing the memory dump. This is a live demonstration, so hopefully everything's going to be okay over here, but should be, obviously. Anyway, so we've got our folder that we are filling up with data. So let's see basically if this is something that we are getting out over there. And we're going to be fixing the application log. So that's also quite fun, yeah. And that should already be there. Okay, so we can see application experience, telemetry, so it's plenty of log files. And the reason why I would like to choose the application log is because it is actually the largest, so that's why. Okay, so I can see that we've got already application log. Perfect. So we can interrupt this and then move forward. Yes, so that's perfect. So this one I'm going to interrupt and it says interrupted, but eventually we've got our application log gathered here. And that's, let me show you this guy here. Yeah, so that's this guy here. So what we're going to do, we're going to try to open it. Yeah, so first of all, that's going to be our moment. And we're going to do rename. And then we've got our VACB log. So this is this one. Let me see, because it's in a file handles. Okay, so it's not that folder, but we're gonna get there. We got it. And this one, and we've got our rename, and then file handles. Okay, and VACB, and that's basically the command that we need to run over here. Yeah, so we are renaming the file, this one to eventually this particular file here. Yeah. So after we get it, we can open this file, evtx, and that takes a while because we need to, within the event log, verify the integrity of the file. But eventually, what you're going to see is that this particular file is actually corrupted. Yeah, and eventually I'm going to have a message in the moment because, as we mentioned, here we go, that takes time. Yeah, so that's this one. So this is, as you can see, that's this path, CPython, scripts, file handles, file, and so on. Yeah, so this is basically the file we are looking at. Now, how to make sure that this file is working? Well, simply, we will need to fix it. And in order to be able to do it, let me actually copy this particular file into our path. And our path that we're going to be working on will be the one with the tool to fix it. Yeah, so here we go. So this is basically the moment where we copy this particular application file. Okay, so it takes a moment, but I have to do it, sorry. So copy, I'm going to do it even in GUI, yeah? And in the CQEVTX recovery, I'm going to paste it in the in folder. And if you check out the out folder here, it's empty. Okay, so that's basically the simple folder structure that I'm going to be using. Now it's super simple. Yeah, so we are pretty much almost home because in our tool, which is called CQ EVTX recovery, this one, we are able to recover the file by using the following structure: in, out, out. Yeah, like this. So it could not be simpler. So we give an input directory and output directory and bring it on. We have successfully recovered 17 records. 17 records, that's plenty. And that is something that has been processed within the memory, and eventually we will be able to mitigate them. Yes, so that's also quite nice. So let's give it a try, and basically we're going to get into the out folder, and that's the place where we can see the stuff, our application log. And eventually our job is going to be to open up that particular log file to eventually show us that that is possible to actually open up that particular file. So let's do it. Here we go. File. We have only one file, so we can just open it like that. As always, it takes a bit of time for the log to be opened. Right, and I've got the event viewer opening right now. And again, I have to wait a little bit. That's this one here. And in the moment, it's going to process all of the signatures within the EVTX file, and then eventually display that particular log file. Now, cool part about that, we have to wait, unfortunately. Cool part about that is that this also works for the offline files, for the offline data, and eventually we are able to recover some broken EVTX files when needed. And as you can see, guys, that was pretty clear, and we've got the chunks of logs from the memory discovered. So I hope you like it. This is a tool that obviously we are sharing with everybody because all of our tools are free and we share them. So we have technically 200 of them also for forensics, and this is a pretty nice example out there. Okay, great. So long story short, let's give it a try to play with the disk, because we are playing all the time with the memory, but let's discuss what we can do with the disk to play with different tools. Well, disk dump in general, when we image the drive, we could image the drive, for example, by using the classic, again, FTK imager by Access Data. It's free, or you could use the disk to VHD or any other disk imaging tools that are out there available in the market for analysis. There are also plenty of tools, not to really mention the names, but they are there. Yeah. So we got lots of possibilities here. Now, whenever we are thinking about the trace that we've got on a disk, of course, there are plenty of places that we can find it in. One of the things that we should check for at first, it's most recently used. So these are the files that were recently used, that are stored basically within the cached information, mainly in the registry. I'm saying mainly because it is mainly in the registry, but it might be obviously somewhere else, yes, if application is managing it this way. But most recently used, as we see it in Windows, are to be found in the registry. Is it interesting and useful? Absolutely. But this webinar that we are doing right now, it's not supposed to be this way. So I would like to show you some other interesting places, more interesting than most recently used, that you are able to find in Windows. For example, that could be prefetch. And prefetch in general allows us to look at the attack that has been basically delivered some time ago, and eventually we are able to see that within the, for example, prefetch, we can see the executables or signs of executables that we're executing in the operating system. Now, interesting fact about prefetch is that prefetch is in a C Windows prefetch. It's also quite basic because can you build a timeline based on prefetch? Well, not really, because even though by default it allows you to do that, don't forget that that metadata that describes prefetch files is actually modifiable. And anything like last write time, creation time, access time, that is metadata of the file, which we call forensically standard information. That's the section that it's on the disk that contains this data, and that section is fully writable. So technically, you can change the metadata of the file. Let me show you, of course, what we are talking about over here, so that we can get a concept of not only prefetch, but also the way of how eventually we are able to overwrite it. Yes, so that will be the setup. Okay, so prefetch. So where is it? We can find prefetch in the C Windows prefetch, yeah, like here. So if we sort by the date modified, yeah, you can see over here different entries that are indicating us what was executing. This is actually the machine after the attack. And eventually what was not nice to see over there was the process called USABXWMU something something, yeah? And that was interesting for us to analyze what was it. So I can do shift right click, copy as path. Eventually, when I have a copy of the evidence, I will not need to run the console as administrator because I will have offline access to the data, but I want to show you the live analysis. Okay, so let's give it a try. And we're going to get into tools. And we've got over here a really nice tool, which is called CQURE Prefetch Parser. Now, this is a very simple tool that we could use in order to basically load the file. So we can do -F, and then we can paste the path. So we've got it. And then we do -A, and we do analysis. Now, what do we have inside? Within the, it's a free tool, obviously, we've got a tool that we are able to see that we've got DLLs that are or were loaded upon execution. And over here, we can also see the date. What was the date of last execution? And we can see also run count 1. And within the run count 1, we are able at that stage to evaluate that basically here we could see that eventually this is most probably malware, most probably, because normally software that we use every day doesn't run once, only runs a couple of times. But in this case, we are able to see that that might be this one, right? Okay, regardless, when we have it this way, what I would like to show you, it's the situation where eventually we are able to change the metadata of the prefetch, plus prefetch does not have any type of digital signature inside. So can we rely on it? It's useful, but it's not that great. Yeah, that's my point. So, so what we're gonna do? First of all, let's start a bit of a PowerShell here. So we're gonna do it this way. So we can do it like this, for example, within this machine, and we can set up PowerShell. Here we go. And then what we're gonna do? First of all, we're gonna specify the variable, let's say D, where we're gonna do a simply get item. Here we are within the PowerShell, so we're gonna get item, and then we're gonna see and rely on a certain item from the C. And then in this case, Windows prefetch, and we're going to choose something. Yeah, I want to show you basically that even though we can sort by the date modified, right now we've got 27 of August, but we have also 25th and some other stuff, and we have even July. So let's take July. So we're going to technically do shift right click, copy as path. So that's this item here. So maybe we can just clean it out and then leave it like this, paste. Yeah, so that's the path that we could use. So we gotta get item. Let's keep it this way. And eventually, based on that particular file, we're gonna do here a last write time. And as you see, that fills up. So we got it. So this is our variable over here. And for every item, so we're gonna do dir, in this particular case, Windows prefetch, just an interesting setup, right? We're gonna do for every item, and then we're gonna do for each, and then we're gonna do the if, and we're gonna specify and refer to the result of the output by specifying over here the last write time, and then we're gonna do not equal our variable D, yeah. Then we're gonna specify what to do, and then we will specify that we're going to override all of the items over here. So creation time, like this, it's going to be like variable D. And then for all of these items, we're going to do it like this. So for this one, we're going to do, in this case, last write time, creation time, last write time. Here we go. And then we're going to also specify that it should be like variable D. And then one more thing, let's just be perfect over here for all of those last access time. Yep, for example, we're going to specify the variable D, yeah? And then ping, ping, we got it, yeah? So this is it. So we have overwritten metadata within prefetch. And have a look, all the dates over here, all of them are actually July right now. Is it reliable? Yeah, but it contains some information. We could be saying, okay, but we can find some information about that in the USN journal, so the NTFS journal. True, but what if someone cleans it? That's my point. So we have to be absolutely careful while playing with evidence. Also, if you are on a hacker side, there are possibilities to destroy the evidence. Eventually, you're going to see as an investigator that the evidence has been destroyed. But what else? That's not a really good situation, isn't it? Right? So we got it. Now, the next part that I would like to show you, it's very nice. It's very short. It's related with the profile information that's stored in the user's profile, and that's called automatic destinations. Sometimes we call it automatic destinations, sometimes we call it jump list, but in general, let me say it this way. Every application has certain identifier. And not only Microsoft. Application is registering or reporting its identifier within the operating system. Therefore, we are able to recognize what kind of app is this. Why am I saying this? Because we've got actually a path like this, like you can see on the screen right now, so that eventually we've got, for example, let's say number 3, see users, Pola, updata, roaming, Microsoft Windows, recent, automatic destinations, and then we've got this 9B9C. Now 9B9C blah blah blah, it is actually representing us 64-bit Notepad. Why do I know that? Because it's an official ID for Notepad. If it's something else, it's going to be something else, obviously. So what do we actually see over there? We actually see, and let me open it over here, everything that you have worked with within the certain app within the time that Windows has been installed. So if your Windows is running for the past 2 years, in this automatic destinations file, you are able to find, and that's the best, the history of everything that you have ever opened. So if potentially user is actually opening a file that's not supposed to open, for some reason user managed to get access to it and it's opening it, you're going to see that in the automatic destinations. If it's Excel spreadsheet with payrolls, you're going to see the name over there. Now, it's not really an evidence, right? Because the files could have different names, but that is an indicator that something happened. Now, very, very sad example for that. In our team, we've been analyzing some time ago sorry for the subject, but that was a case, the childhood pornography case, where we were searching on the drive for the evidence that actually happened. And one of the things we found was within the automatic destination of Windows Media Player, the titles of movies that someone was processing. Sad story, as I mentioned, but there eventually there was justice, so that's great, and we were able to see that has been actually happening by also searching at the disk for deleted items, what happened. So quite an interesting story, right? And good part about that is that it's really detailed. A bad part about that is that within the automatic destinations, they are stored in a user profile, right? So user can delete them. So if user knows what to do, user will actually delete automatic destinations. So that's quite a sad story. Any other files interesting? Well, yes. We've got things that in general are related with Windows indexing service. And Windows indexing service, let me show you this one more before we get into the larger scenario, allows us basically to review what kind of files were placed on the disk. And the interesting fact about Windows indexing service is that we are able to get into our indexing service. So we have to have a copy of this. But the problem of this is that Windows indexing service, so Windows EDB file, is actually locked for copying. So we call it a non-share handle file. That eventually means that either you have to simply create a shadow copy, or you can use that TSK sleuthkit to get the file out from the drive. So there are plenty of ways really to copy the file eventually, even though it's locked. So let me show you first the path where we are able to find that setup. Yeah. And the first part or path that we have is related with the following entry over here. So I'm going to open up the command prompt and simply let's get there. Yeah, so we've got it in the C program data, and then we've got Microsoft, search, and data, applications, and Windows. And over there, we've got something that's called Windows EDB. Okay, great. So Windows EDB is actually something that eventually it's a Windows indexing service. And if we do copy Windows EDB to see, let's say I've got analysis, it cannot be copied because it's used by another process, right? Okay, so having this in mind, yeah, I already made a copy of the shadow copy. And the shadow copy, basically, I use the script that is very simple, eventually that I use for that. Let me show you this because you might also find it useful. That particular script looks like this. Yeah, so not a big deal at all. But in Windows client, we do not have a VSS admin create shadow, so that's why you have to get into WMI/PowerShell to actually create a shadow copy, or some other methods really. Yeah, but that was my quick method to do it. So long story short, while we have that in mind, we can get into Windows indexing service. So that's this one. And over here, we are able to find over here within the table GTHR, so that's like in the very bottom, some entries that could indicate that file that was used within the attack, it's there. So that's absolutely interesting because eventually we are able to see, and look how many records I've got over there, we are able to see that this file has been there at that time and so on. So that could also indicate us certain situations. So that's quite exciting because eventually we are able to see what is going on with the subject. Yeah, so that takes time. So let's give it a moment while it loads. But eventually, Windows indexing service, it's out there to show us that the files were there. And here we go. Yeah, so we had to wait for the moment, but as always, but eventually here we've got some names of files and folders that we can refer to in order to find out if this particular file has been there. Is it useful? Yes, absolutely. But of course, we cannot forget that indexing service can be also cleared. Okay, so we got it. Now, the scenario that I would like to show you, it's also quite exciting because it's related with basically the way of how we are able to recover literally a certain type of data of files in general that were encrypted. Now, let me show you this one. I'm going to basically use and leverage data protection API research that we did. And I'm absolutely not bragging about it, but as far as I know, we're the first and the only team that did the full reverse engineering of the data protection API and also data protection API NG. So it's a new generation. And eventually, if you have some questions also beyond this webinar, let us know because we are happy to show you how eventually we are able to decrypt some data from the operating system's perspective. Now, what is DP API? DP API, it's a crypto platform in Windows that we all use in order to store credentials in the browser and also eventually store private keys, and so on. So plenty of use cases. Now, please have for Outlook, for example, please have a look. Freddy Krueger is logging over the password, like this. Yeah, we got it. Enter, done. Now, over here within the Freddy's machine, we can get into Chrome Pass. And then eventually we can see that within Chrome Pass, I am able to extract the password that Freddy stored in Chrome. And that the Chrome Pass, by the way, it's a tool. You can find it at Nearsoft. That's by Nearsoftware. Very nice tool. But showing us and extracting data protection API files when we run it in our own context. So during forensics, you are not able to actually run that tool in the context of the user. What you're going to get, it's a disk with some files that indicate that user actually stored a secret there. Okay, how to find a secret? Because this is what user will see, but you will never see that until we do this little operation out there. Let me show you. This is actually one of our favorite tools and definitely one of my favorite tools out there, and literally one of my favorites. And this one is called CQDP API Blob Searcher. What does it show you is basically all the possible secrets, the passwords, like some data that's encrypted. Usually it's passwords, some private keys and that kind of stuff that you guys might have saved on your laptop. So that demonstration is going to last approximately 3 minutes. And then we have it. So let's stay super focused because it is actually quite useful. So we get a CQDP API blob searcher /d. And because we are talking Google Chrome over here, I'm going to get into C, users, Freddy, and then app data. And then we're going to get over here into local. And then we're going to get into Google and then Chrome, because this is where we store our profile, information with the password and so on. And then we're going to do recursive search. And then we're going to do output to the CQ tools like this. And then basically we're going to save it in, let's say, dpapi.txt. Yeah. Okay, so we've got this. Now, when we basically extract information about places where we have secrets, yeah, so that is taking approximately 10 seconds, I would like to show you all these places in Google Chrome folder. So it's not like on a C drive, but it's just Chrome that we are looking at. And have a look, that's awesome. This search tells us that Google Chrome is actually storing some secrets, so some passwords. So Firefox could be the same story and so on, because DPAPI secret form has always the same header, the same beginning, and we are looking at the headers. So if you search your whole C drive, so your whole OS for those, you're going to find lots of information about what kind of secrets you actually store. So here we've got B55. That is an indicator of our master key that we can use in order to get that secret out. So what we're going to do, first of all, let me explain that these secrets of users that Freddy could extract, they are for domain users dependent on two things, and it's one or second. First, it's user's password hash. Yeah, user's password hash. And the second one, it is actually the secret key in the domain that we actually managed to find. And I would like to share that with you so that you can use it to, and check this out, extract secret of every single user in the domain. Every single. So if you have like 200 people working for you, you can do it for 1,000 people. Then basically you could do it for all of them. It's actually massive, and it's also a massive problem. Let's dig in. So that's B55. Now what I'm going to do to simplify that demo track to make sure that we are all on the same page, I'm going to restart this machine, and I'm going to offline change the password that the user is logging in. Now, how I'm going to do that? That's actually a domain user. Do you guys know cache logon data, or something that we call cache credentials, but it's a very bad name for that because these are not credentials, because you cannot really log on with them. And these are not like hashes and so on. It is actually a value that we call msdcc2, and it's a result of a function pbkdf2. It's actually a pretty cool value out there in a registry stored, and there is not much you can do about it, at least today. Definitely you cannot log on with it. So we're going to change that. Why? Because I would like to show you that if we log on with a different password that we basically change and update over here, user will not be able to get access to the secrets. And that's a good news. But of course, we're not here for the good news, right? Just kidding. But eventually, I'm a fan of being a little evil in cybersecurity at that moment, especially because, as I mentioned, I do pen tests, so that's this moment where you actually start having fun as well. So we get into the command prompt, and then let me enlarge the font so that everybody can see what's happening here. Lovely. So I'm going to get into Tools, CQ Tools, and then we've got over here Kiwi Secure Edition. You guys might know Mimikatz. That's actually our Secure Edition with part of our module over here that we're going to use. So that is LSA dump cache. And what we are doing right now, we are overwriting cache logon data so that user can log on with a different password, even though it's a domain user. So we've got D Windows System32 config system, awesome. And then we go to D Windows. Tab isn't working, so I have to type all the things. System32 config security / Kiwi. And a Kiwi overwrites cache logon data for all the users of which cache logon data has been cached for. So one more thing on the top is to actually disconnect this machine from the network. So in this place, we are giving here disconnected or not connected. Here we go. And we are super home because we're going to be logging on with different credentials over here because we have updated our cache logon data. Yeah, so that's the setup. And we are not booting from the CD DVD or anything. Now, we could say, hey, but BitLocker could help it. Well, yeah, actually, in this case, yes, but not to this attack. No, no, no. I did it actually offline because it's quicker for us and more linear for the demo purpose. But could you do it online? Of course, actually. So both options would work over here. But for offline, BitLocker would help. But for online, code execution prevention, maybe, because you could always copy the file and replace it. So it's quite an evil attack, actually. Anyway, we're gonna log in basically with this one. Yeah. So let's see basically what we got. So remember I was logging on with the password like this, and Mimikatz. Okay, we got it. It's actually the password that worked. Yeah. So so this is basically something that I would like to show you. Let's log on first, and then I will show you while we log in that was actually the password. While we are logging in, there is one more thing that we have to do on the way to extract the private key that I was talking about from the domain. Okay, so let's do it in the meantime. And this guy is here logging on, so I'm going to just keep it on the screen. Here we go. And a long story short, our job over here is going to be to get this private key and then eventually to use it to recover our access to that encrypted data. Yeah, so that's basically the setup. Please have a look. I'm on the domain controller right now, and that key extraction is very easy. We're gonna do CQ Elsa secrets dumper here, and then file, exported PFX, enter. That's done. And exported PFX, when we import it, we don't have to do it, but just to show you, unfortunately, everybody has this key, and that's a big problem in the industry. There's nothing you can do about it, essentially. You cannot renew it and all that stuff. I'm sure you guys have questions about it, but please ask them. But let me show you. And let me show you the key itself. Cert mgr.msc. Personal certificates. That's this guy here. Not available. And you can see it's empty. Issued to, issued by, empty, empty. It's also expired. So that's completely not good. So let's use this key in our scenario. Yeah, so here we go. We've got our Freddy guy. Let's lock it. Yeah. And if eventually we would like to log in with the password, let's try to do it. That's this one. Yeah, as you see, we try to do it. That password is incorrect. But if we do Mimikatz, this one, it's working. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Okay, so totally last run over here. We get into the toolkit. We already know that B55 master key was the one protecting our secret. So if you go to %update %, let me actually list this key, app data roaming, that B55 we can find in protect, SID, and in here, B55. So that's this one, shift right click, copy as path. Yeah, so we got it. And final run looks like this. We go to the CQ tools, DP API, we generate our current passwords hash with the private key to decrypt the secrets and to encrypt them with my current passwords hash. So we do CQ hashcalc, Mimikatz is my current password. We got it. And now the total final, we've got a CQ master key AD where we technically give it a master key. So that's the path to the master key. It looks long, but that's the one. We specify PFX from the domain exported PFX to decrypt it with. And then we do new hash where we technically copy this value. We got it. And then basically we encrypt it back with the new password hash. Now, why do we do that? Because eventually, if we would like to get into the our tools, so CQ tools, to the Chrome pass, let me show you the result here. First of all, after the logon with a weird password, with a Mimikatz password, here we are not able to get access to the secrets. Yeah, so basically we are not able to see that. So that takes a little moment. And we will see that the password isn't visible. Yeah, but eventually our job is going to be to replace that master key. So let me get back over here. So here we go. So there will be a new key created. You will see that in the moment. So this one is happening now. And over here, there is the AD modified created. So I'm just replacing these guys. Okay, we got it. Last run, rename. We take this off. And they are replaced. One more thing to change the attribute of a system and hidden. Enter. Just this. And then right here, you see the empty password, but when I press F5, password comes back. Phew. So that is basically the way of how we are able to recover data that has been encrypted by the user. And that refers to Outlook passwords, passwords stored in a browser, documents, also KeePass that is relying on our Windows logon session. So this is like an ultimate set of tools that we are able to use in order to get access to basically the files over there. Now that certificate, it's something that you cannot recover, so change as well. So if it leaks during the attack, you've got a really big problem because you cannot regenerate it. Yeah. Okay, so we've discussed basically memory, and we have also discussed disk, and we have also played with a scenario how to extract information that has been encrypted within the drive. So the question is obviously what to do now. Yeah, and if you want to master in forensics, then we technically need to focus on things like reading lots of books, so playing with Windows internals and so on. And I really hope that you simply won't stop here. And lots of guys, you just gain like lots of information, and I hope it's also a good momentum with our webinar today. So eventually what I showed you is perspective on how to extract things from the memory and also how to extract things from the disk. And what can I say? Well, if you like things that we teach and so on, we also got some additional opportunities for you if you would like to have a try. We are within our team as well delivering one-day mastery courses, and the formula of those, it's very simple. These courses were designed to provide you like maximum knowledge in different areas of cybersecurity in the shortest possible time. And you're supposed to fill it up pretty much within one day. So the course material is like 6 or 7 or 8 hours long. Usually it's like 7 or 8 hours. And it's for those who are technically have like 2 or 3 years of experience. So that's ideally. and for those also who finished some of our classes. And if basically you would like to have some quiet time with forensics, then you can always close yourself in the room, order some favorite food or some drink, and you can always immerse yourself in the subject with some of our like videos that are out there. But if you feel like you need more time, totally you can do it, and there is like totally no rush. And especially after like our webinar today, the course that applies, it's called One Day Forensics and Prevention Mastery Course, New Reality Edition, which introduces as well the perspective of on the remote work. So why basically a new reality edition? Well, we can see that cybercrime is booming, and we could see also some statistics. We could also see all the time the mass migration to remote working, and that's triggered obviously by the current world situation, so the pandemic. And we had the statistics that I was mentioning at the beginning with the malicious registrations, which grew by 569% from February to March, so just this year. And basically, these are quite scary numbers, and I would say hard to believe. But anyway, in this current climate of spoofed domains and fake emails and so on, the demand for forensics is high, and especially for forensic skills. And we can see that it has never been higher. So that's why we've got that kind of a little option for you. And lots of organizations are kind of discovering how attacker gained entry to the system too late, and these kind of attacks, they can be prevented. So this is basically a bit of a concept, and let me just give you some information about it. So the topic expands upon the subject that we touched on during the webinar, and eventually what you can find inside, that's like intensive 1 day forensics course. We're going to teach you how to think like a hacker, so that you can also evaluate your infrastructure for vulnerabilities, and at the same time, while doing that, you can learn, and also you can try how to start the incident response procedure with full forensics option, and how to recover the evidence attackers left behind. And this particular course, it's 6 modules, and it's accompanied by exercises and tools. And we have also added an extra module of hackers' perspective on remote working. Not really long time ago, I finished recording it, and that's attack prevention in 2020. So this is like a perspective on what to have a look at while we are performing remote work. And basically, we will also share with you some securing tips and tricks, basically what to particularly take into consideration, what to preset in order to make the monitoring better. And it's yours to keep for 12 months from the purchase. So like I said, you can do it in 1 day, but also review your knowledge many times during the whole year. And our 30 days Windows security crash course that we have also is a pretty nice preparation for 1 day mastery course for sure. But if you have already experienced then that is an option. But if not, then you can also check it out if you haven't yet. So that's the setup. To give you more tech data, I think it might be interesting. We've got basically 6 modules. One is the introduction to incident response and handling, containing procedures, also a little bit of theory, but also a checklist, what to do during the incident, what kind of tools to have, and so on. But also things like system security mechanisms, my favorite module, explaining how actually Windows works, but not from the basics perspective. But mainly from the monitoring perspective. So why, for example, hackers manage to extract things from the memory? Well, because most probably they had a access to or they had a debug privilege, and that allowed them to make a memory dump and that kind of stuff. So really cool. Handling malicious code incidents, so playing with malware, and also securing monitoring operations and evidence gathering, so how to handle with evidence where to get to in order to get evidence, and forensics basics, which contains actually final checklist of what to do. And that's of course a bonus. Yeah. So eventually you will be able at the end to investigate and report on cybersecurity issues. You'll be also able to in general evaluate an incident in terms of like urgency, potential impact, and introduce the remediation. You'll be also able to play with logs and different traces to make sure that you've got a good tools to analyze them and to mainly extract them. And at the end, you will be able to have a nice skill set to function as a technical team member with like maybe even law enforcement or in general as a technical team in the company. So here we go. And of course, the tuition for the program. So what is it? You might be interested. It is actually originally $799, but because you showed up for today's webinar, we would like to make this available for you for with like a special discount of $200. So that's right now $599, and the discount is on only for you for the next 3 days. So make sure basically you enroll before the September eventually 5th, so that you can get it. Yeah. It depends, of course, on the time zone you are in, but that's why we make it September 5th. So we got it. And you can technically enroll for the class, but if you are interested about more details and how to access that particular discounted price, there is actually a link, and that's this link over here. So that basically when you get on through this link, you will be able to get that particular discounted price after this particular webinar. So we have it. So make sure that you're gonna check it. Well, what can I say? Now it's time for the 2 days challenge. So if you guys are ready, and technically, I know that this you've been waiting for the whole webinar maybe, but you guys can technically win free access to 1 day forensics and prevention mastery course if basically you take a challenge. And here we go with a challenge. That is this. So you guys can screenshot this particular slide, this particular screen, and you can work on that later. Yeah, so here we go. So we're going to be waiting for the correct answers. And as I mentioned, the winner gets access to 1 day forensics and prevention mastery course. So you need to send the result to info@secureacademy.com. So that's this one. And basically info@secureacademy.com, and please title it Forensics Challenge, or just submit a type form. So that's easy. Yeah. So you're going to find all information on that basically link. So make sure that you participate. It's not that bad, and best is that you've got time. So why not taking a challenge? We really like to see how you guys also solve it, and we're going to be sharing with you publicly the results. And that's the challenge. And in the challenge, just to give a bit of an insight, you're going to run fake malicious software. You can do it within the virtual machine that checks for the system configuration. And if it's all correct, then basically connects to the client and control server to report something. Yeah. And your job is going to be to capture that particular key, and there is a secret flag that you are looking for. Yeah, so the key format, as you can see, it's a CQ underscore and then secret. So this is basically the setup. We also have some hints for you. Why do we need hints? Basically, who needs hints? We should know how to do it, but eventually the hints are very simple, and that is that we need to use Procmon to verify of what's happening. Why not? So a little bit of that, and eventually we've got some missing elements out there. We need to make sure that we've got what we need. So Procmon is actually a really nice setup over here, and send us, of course, that challenge. So that's in the link that you can have. Yeah. So eventually, just to remind you that within this challenge, the winner gets the course. Yeah. So this is basically the course that we got, and eventually, this is our 1 day forensics and prevention mastery course. Okay, so we've got it. Now, eventually, this is where you are able to enroll for the course. So we've got CQUREacademy.com, cybersecurity training, one-day forensics and prevention mastery course. And eventually, let me give you a little bit of an insight of what's going on with the setup. So really looking forward to your opinion about the course, and I'm pretty sure you will love it. And this is where you were able to find all of the details. So here we go. And if you are guys interested about what kind of stuff alumni from the course says, are our courses good and so on, we've got some opinions over here as well. So we've got Jack Perry, very nice person, actually participating in so many courses of ours. And yeah, so just a little bit of a insight if you would like to have information whether the quality is good and so on. We actually, and since I'm the CEO of CQURE, the quality has to be good. And we always try to do a good job, including the research that we spend a long time on to share with you free stuff at the end, plus eventually the courses. Yeah, so we've got tools supporting as well the courses, and for all of them, for all of us, our tools are free. So now, what can I say? I would like to address some questions we have received regarding forensics from our online community here. So if you guys have some questions, post them in a chat box, and our team will collect them, and I will make sure we address them in eventually this webinar or some other webinar. So let's give it a try. And let me see basically what we got. So it's a time for questions and answers. And in the meantime, let me share with you the tools so that you guys can see what are those. And eventually we are able to basically download them. But this is a time for questions and answers. So let me verify basically what kind of those we've got. Yeah. So here we go. Here we go. Let's see what we got. Yeah. Okay, great. So let's see what we got. Perfect. Awesome. By the way, thank you for the really nice, oh, this is so nice. Thank you for the nice comments over here. Awesome. Nice. Thanks for the comments about the quality. So the resolution of the stream is good. We try to do our good job over here. Long working day, burning brain. I like burning brain actually. Burning brain is making my day. Okay, here we go. What we got? Really fast. Yeah, I kind of agree. That's yeah, I try to speak slowly in comparison to what we got. Okay, so what do you think about Volatility 3 based on Python 3? Well, let me put it this way. I really love volatility because it's there. And memory analysis, it's not really something that's easy. So volatility is giving us some options here. There are less modules available that we could use on eventually, but it's there, and we could use it for analysis of Windows 10 and so on. So I like the way that we can use it basically in Python as well. And the reason why is because it allows us to also write our own module. So that's really nice thing to see as well. Where an intermediate Windows guy should start your webinar. Looks deep technical. Okay, so I would say that you should definitely get into, however generic that sounds, but basically Windows internals. So by Mark Rusinovich, deeply recommending. And in our team, actually, let me tell you, everybody that works in our team, I'm pushing, and I'm not an easy one over here, that everybody should actually read the book, because that gives us a background on what we are actually working with. So whether you are a penetration tester and you are hacking some infrastructures out there, then obviously you need to know what to do, not only just run the tools. If you're playing with forensics, totally same thing. So that will be the setup to start with, absolutely. Oh, nice to see you, Vicky. That's so nice. Okay. There are guys, some guys and or girls eventually that I know. It's really cool. Mm, I have prior knowledge in hacking. How will Secure Academy help me dive into more 7 areas? And thank you for the really nice compliment here. Well, basically, I would recommend to try basically our 1 day classes. But if you want to start, from our side, I would recommend 30 days Windows security crash course. The reason why we wrote it is because we personally needed the course out there that will actually introduce community into security. So we thought that that's something that's missing over here because, for example, when I do pen test, I often find out that Windows knowledge is there, but I personally think it should be deeper. So that's why actually the course was created. So that was the case. I know, Microsoft Ignite. I know. This is one of my favorite conferences actually, and I totally miss it. Next year, fingers crossed. Crazy times. Um, okay. Okay. So we got it. What would you consider to be a prerequisite? Let me see. Here we go. Stay safe. Thank you so much, guys. Here we go. I will need to see that question. Thank you for the demos. Lovely, thank you. And dziękuję, that's in Polish. Awesome, always. That's fantastic. Okay. Um, do you have any solution for TPM chip devices? That's more like a hardware related stuff. So we were actually working on extracting some data from the TPM. No results yet, so nothing concrete actually. So saying we got the picture is hiding the link. So hopefully you guys can see it and you got a link already in the chat. Thank you so much, Adriana, for posting it. Awesome. Okay. How different is this course from Forensics Mastery 2.0 from like 1.0? It is actually different because it is actually totally different because we have re-recorded the whole thing with a new setup and so on. So it's nice experience out there. Let us know actually. Drop us an email about that, okay? So that'll be nice. Can you show the challenges page again? Okay, sure. Let me do that. Bring it on, because you guys need to participate in this totally. That's the link. Here we go. That's the link that I was mentioning that you guys should screenshot. Here we go. And all info you're gonna see over there. Where to send the answer? info@secureacademy.com. So that's our regular email, or you could just fill in the form in the website. So you got a link over here. Thank you so much. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Thank you. If you guys have like a 404 error or something, please just check again, and our team will also publish the link, post a link here in this chat. So request to Ada and the team to do it. What's the admissibility in court of secure tools? Well, a good question. So, our tools basically are actually used for extraction of the evidence. So we participated in many court cases, also U.S. government and many other ones. So it was actually good. So if that's something that you were asking about, so we were participating as a subject matter expert, and eventually that was accepted. Only the first person to finish gets the prize. The first one, but also the good one. Yes, so we will evaluate that basically. I'm sorry, Paul, the course isn't free, but it's not, I hope, too expensive too. So we try to make it affordable for the whole world actually. Okay. What's the password for second compressed file, secure or not? So the question to the team to verify that should be secure. Should be secure. Basically, if you are in fact, if you have some problems with accessing the file, let us know at info@secureacademy.com, and then we'll help you with this. So just if you even drop us an email right now, the guys will be able to address it. Yeah. Yep, okay. So if KeePass is connected with our Windows credentials, we can unlock the KeePass list. Also just check access to, yes, here we go. So if KeePass, so good practice here. If KeePass is relying on a Windows logon data, KeePass database, it's also a DP API secret. It's crazy, right? So in general, very good practice, and we know that. But just saying, and to pinpoint this, that we should use external password to access KeePass database, and or eventually things like YubiKey and so on. So anything related with this one. So do not rely KeePass on a Windows logon, which might sound like an obvious advice, but people in the companies that are not IT related do it. And if you do forensics, you take the KeePass database and then you basically verify if it's a DP API secret by using our tool, CQURE DP API blob searcher, and then it will tell you that it is a DP API secret. Then yes, you are able to recover it in a similar way as I was recovering the password for Freddy. Okay, please show again the hint for the challenge. Pleasure. I like hints. Here we go. Pum pum pum. Hints. These are the ones with the link as well. So thanks for asking about that. The password for tools, it's CQURE Academy hash 123 exclamation mark. Yeah, so that's this one. Here we go. Yep. Lovely, lovely, awesome. The zip password, secure capital letters. Awesome. Oh, nice. Thank you so much, Cyprus guys. See you in Cyprus soon, I hope. Thanks, thanks. Okay, here we go. When someone takes 1 day crash course, is he or she going to be ready for the next incident response? Yes, thanks Faith for asking this question. That is exactly the point. Actually, that is exactly the point, to make you ready for this, because that skill set, it's totally missing out there. Okay, awesome. Thanks for attending the presentations at Black Hat. See you hopefully next year in person. How did I get the Windows source code? Lots of the trust, I believe. Thanks, Pavel, for asking. Yes, it is actually. For me, the access is for the past 10 years. And basically that's the trust from Microsoft, but I don't have like 100%. I have like 99%. So we still have to do the research. So DP API, we had to reverse engineer, and it was road through hell. Here we go. The password opened the file at the first level. Is asking for another password on the second level, and so on. Okay, so the guys will post you the information on the chat. Yeah, so if you have problems with opening it, please follow the chat, and then it should be good. Okay, can we rewatch the webinar? We will see basically about that. So fingers crossed. I hope so, but again, just follow up, and then I'm sure you're gonna see the setup about the rewatch. In the chat on the top, you've got information about the passwords. Yeah, so here we go. Sorry for the inconvenience. It wasn't a security challenge, actually, so we got it. I'm doing cybersecurity final year. It's your webinar. Gave me some. Oh, thank you so much. Light on forensic in the role. Thank you so much, Tashi. State of the art. Hi, Roland. Aw, this is so cool. Yes. For someone completely new, where should I start? We would recommend doing either 1 day courses from our perspective or 30 days Windows security crash course, and follow up with Windows internals book, please. And this is a really nice start, actually. It's enough for the first moment, definitely. Thank you. That's so nice of you. Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. Thank you. Yes, okay. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. We got it. Thank you so much. Is it part of the challenge? No, the second password wasn't part of the challenge. Here we go. We got it already, yeah? Okay. Blog post for recommended books and where to start the journey. Tor Eric is asking. We actually made a blog post like this, and if you check my LinkedIn, you will find, and also link of Mike Jankowski-Lorek, a fantastic team member. You will see basically that he was actually writing up like where to start in cyber, but I think we should maybe write a blog post or even make a video about where to actually start. So yeah, actually, I'm not thinking that we should do that. We will do that. Here we go. So expect this one probably to come very soon. So hopefully you follow us on social media, like Twitter, like at CQURE Academy, or eventually CQURE on Facebook. This is where we post that stuff. As a new person in cybersecurity, having notion of just software, and I want to do cybersecurity master, where should I start learning? So I think I've answered the question already, but I would recommend the 30 Days Windows Security Crash Course and Windows Internals book, definitely. No mercy here. What do you think about rainbow tables? Well, I wish we had better hardware so that we could play with them more at home. That's my thought about it. But of course, there are some publicly available rainbow tables that they're free, or sometimes you need to pay for them. And these are the ones that you use for cracking the MD4, for example, of the user password. And that is a really nice thing if you need it, but we've got attack like pass the hash, pass the ticket, and so on. So eventually that's something that we could leverage nowadays, luckily. Somebody did not believe this was in fact live because it's unbelievable. Ah, nice. Thanks. Yeah, it is live. I'm here reading questions. Still there and still live. Good. Can you make a blog post, recommended books, and where to start? Yes, okay, we got it. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so we got it. Should the prefetch be disabled for security for Krzysztof? Basically, prefetch, when we set it up, should be set 3 to enable it. So just saying. So we should actually have prefetch enabled. And even though it takes after some time approximately 100 megs, and in the old forums with tips and tricks, you were able to find information that you should technically delete it to free up your disk space. No, just keep it. It's a good thing. Why does Windows Defender flag some CQ tools? Beauty of cybersecurity world, and Windows Defender knows our tools that were also used for some unfortunately bad reasons. So our tools are public. We are working, by the way, on the tools to be not recognized by antivirus by changing them. And we've got actually a technique that we have invented in-house, so our little bit of a know-how how to do it, but it's sometimes happening so fast that we have to like all the time redo the tool. So check it out because we are updating them all the time. Nice, Raik. Oh, goodness. That's great. Long time since we met last time. Oh, it's a fantastic session. Nice to see you, obviously. I remember. Here we go. Can normal Windows OS user, after taking your 30 days course, will be able to do forensics on Windows like a professional? So 30 days course will give you the background about how Windows works. And you totally needed. And with our forensics 1-day course, answer is yes, that's the point. Really need to go. Oh no, Pedro. Okay, thank you so much. And yeah, another MVP. Nice to have an MVP fellow. Any hints on when the next 30 days course will start? So that will actually start this autumn. So make sure that you stay like somewhere in the loop with our media. Maybe you can subscribe to our newsletter as well, because we're going to be sending this information out. We have certain runs because it's happening live too. So we've got the Facebook group with live comments, you guys participate and so on. It's a nice community event. So it's going to be this autumn. Okay. Yep. Okay. Good. Yes. Okay. Recommend running the challenge in isolated VM. Yes, of course. Absolutely. Yes. Definitely do it within the VM. Good security practice, and I will never recommend anything else, even though I know it's a good tool. It won't hurt you, obviously, but in general, good practice, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm pursuing to be pen tester. What can Secure and Help and Paula do to help me, and so on, at a good discounted price. But maybe you should have a look at the 30 days Windows Security Crash Course, or eventually at 1 day classes as well, as I mentioned, because the crash course is a 30 days, so it's quite a large portion of knowledge, and it's not very expensive actually. Um, so that could be the case. Thank you so much for the positive comment, Stephen. Lovely. Thank you. Nice. Cool, cool. I can see the person with the same last name as I am. That's interesting. Okay. Thanks so much. And cheers, cheers. Thanks a lot, Thierry. Okay. Yes, on the Mac OS that so yeah, I guess our team will be able to provide you more tips about how to do it if you drop us an email. But that's a 7-zip with a password, so that's basically the situation. Maybe you can also set up the virtual machine with Windows with 7-zip. That I guess it will be the fastest way to do it because you need to run executable which works on Windows, so you need Windows anyway. Yeah. If we take your courses, do we get the opportunity to work with your company? You always get an opportunity with our team, sincerely. I was talking about the not enough cybersecurity skill set in this world, and that's also hurting our team. So basically, we are always understaffed, saying, yes. So if you got any concepts and you want to join, we always do it. It's just that it's a warning because it's always harsh, and you work with a team that is like push push. So but if you like it, I do, then bring it on. Okay, do you know the software X-Ways Forensics? Yes, I do, and it's, yeah, we also use it for forensics. Anything that really allows you to extract information in some kind of a fast pace, it's good, but there is always a rule: use 2 or 3 tools of the same kind to give you the same concept of information back, because the tool is written by a human, and humans may have different concepts on how to extract information, and not every tool shows you everything. So very important thing. Do we have any early bird for 30 days? We do, actually. When we're going to start announcing it, which I believe it's going to be quite soon in the autumn, so September came in, so it's going to happen. There is an early bird, and for this one is, just because you've been on this webinar, that's why we are putting $200 off. So it's $599, and for the early bird for 30 days, there's going to be. Yes, of course, we always do it. Yep. Uh-huh. Gabriel, sorry. If there's like some question that I skipped by accident or something, the team's gonna answer that. So request for the team to make note of all of the questions, so that if there's something that I did not answer, I'm just like browsing it, you know. So that's why. Then basically we're gonna do that. So no worries about that. Here we go. Here we go. We've got recommended online communities, groups to follow, networks to follow. Actually, we're gonna make a post about that because it's quite a long list, yeah? Got to go. Okay, here we go. If you have already DC certificates, you should be able to unprotect every single secret in the domain, but can it be done in an automated way? Oh yeah, it can be, but the tool won't do it for you, because every like secret is protected with a different master key, and that requires a bit of a manual work, which can be in a larger scale automated. Our tool doesn't do it. These internals, by the way, it's by Michael Grafnetter, who is actually part of our team. So that's totally awesome. Okay, thank you. Awesome. How to get a user Windows password from disk dump? Well, you have to crack it with possibly rainbow tables, but if you have hibernation file, hyberfil.sys, you can basically use the library from Mimikat, so mimilib.dll, to extract it actually from the dump. You have to load the library in the debugging tools for Windows, and then you will be able to get the password stored possibly in hibernation file. Radek, my email is very simple, paula@CQURE.pl, or you can also contact, if you want to contact the team, info@secureacademy.com. Recording, we will make an announcement about that because I'll need to ask the team, but it's gonna be soon. No. Okay, should we somehow uninstall the fake malware after the challenge so it doesn't run in the background? Yeah. In general, please run it in a virtual machine. Please do that over there. Best free Windows tools you can recommend. Nearsoft is great. Basically, Autopsy is great. TSK Sleuth Kit from the same guys is great. Also, our tools for that. So there are plenty, but these are the ones. And also Eric Zimmerman from the top of my head. Here we go. Nice. I see, Piotr, you found out the symbols path. I believe it's going to be in the memory strings. I can see that. Great. Yes, because Adrian is the author of the challenge. So you got it. Okay. I like that approach. Okay. So I think we got it. Do I prefer Windows or Linux for cyber forensics? Personally, Windows, but I work with both systems, so like most of the guys in the team. So here we go. Awesome. Okay, guys. Yeah, so let's wrap it up. Yes, please do use isolated VM. Anyway, I really love your responsiveness over there. So this is really awesome. So yeah, great to see you. Great to read you. And I see also some nice like no names from the community as well. So thanks so much for coming back. And always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. And basically, I guess we have to wrap up. So make sure that you guys gonna check out the challenge. Basically, we will also recommend you to try our one-day forensics course, eventually our 30 days course, and make sure that you also follow the media because we are not a like we are a bunch of geeks eventually. Our team is so geeky. We post lots of tools, we write some articles, we create videos. So you may want to check it out simply. And basically, you can follow us at Secure Academy on Twitter handle, at Paula Secure Twitter handle, and on Facebook under CQURE. So we are black and orange, as you can see. And thank you so much to you, and thank you to the team as well for being here, and also guys from the team on the chat. So we've got Adrian, Adriana. That's awesome. So awesome. Adrian. This is awesome. Okay, anyway, you found it. So it's the password, yes, so that's Adrian, yeah. But Adriana was also on the chat, so thank you for this. Lovely. Okay, so wrapping up, thank you so much, guys, for being part of our webinar. We've got a hashtag stay secure, not for the current times. Actually, it was created for the past or in the past, but especially valid in the current time. So stay secure. And if you got some questions, drop us an email. Here you have some contact details, paula@secure.us or PL or info@secureacademy.com. There is our website and so on, and all necessary information you're going to find over there. Thank you so much, and stay safe, and thanks a lot for coming. I really like to see that there are still other geeks out there in this lockdown world. Anyway, bye. And if there are any questions that were not answered, we got them, no worries. Thanks so much, and thanks, Ride, as well. Here we go. Bye.